Welcome. With a week to go until the UK's European Union referendum, we're receiving the breaking headlines of the latest Survation opinion poll results on the referendum undertaken for IG. There's been a 7-point shift into the Leave camp since the last poll 3 weeks ago, with Leave now on 45, with the other big move showing that there are now less undecideds at 13%. Remain has shrunk 2 percentage points. Taking out the undecideds and spreading the poll across Leave and Remain, the spread has now shifted 6 percentage points to a majority of Leave at 52 to 48 Remain. Survation also asked, if the poll was today, the so-called squeeze question, how would you vote? And the spread there was a big shift in this too. This time came in at 51 to 49 in favour of Leave. Last time this was 55 to 45, so to Remain. Today's poll also has results from another series of questions asking people to prioritise, in order of importance, issues relating to the economy, immigration, sovereignty, public services, the UK's influence on the public stage, security and defence, and justice and human rights. Of these issues, the top 4 were the economy and immigration, then sovereignty and public services, which includes the NHS. The other areas were relatively low down, so are not included here on this graphic. As for the IG binary, this now shows 58% for Remain, with 42% in the Leave camp. This is a huge move from 81% for Remain against 19% for Leave at the time of the last Survation poll on the 25th of May. Well, Damian, Lyons, Lowe, CEO and founder of Survation, joins us now with some more analysis to make some sense of what we've seen. From anybody looking at this from outside, it's clear that there has been this big shift, and now a majority in some of these polls here for a Leave vote. Yeah,
so our telephone polling has been pretty consistent in terms of its trend. It's been previous to this, it's been really quite steady. There's not been much volatility in there. And the last time we worked for you was the 25th of May publication date, and it was really before the campaigns had really started proper. So since the 25th of May, we've had mainstream TV events, debates, events, discussions, headlines. We've had the campaign proper, and here today we have the story of the campaign, and I think some of the internals in this poll are very interesting.
This was carried out yesterday, wasn't it, between the hours of like 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. last night, is that right?
That's right. So what's nice about the timing is that we have the sort of draft budget that the Chancellor spoke of, where he talked about tax rises in the event of a Brexit. That was front page news most of the day and on broadcasters, and so most of the people, if they were paying attention at all, would have had the opportunity to see some of those headlines. So those are in these figures.
What do you make of the other question that came through about the areas where there was a priority of concern, immigration and the economy coming out on top, but also in amongst the top 4 as well, we also had the NHS within the public services business, and also sovereignty. But interestingly enough, other areas, defence wasn't on there. Well, it was, but it was very low down. Security very low down. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that particular set of questions?
Well, we're hearing very little about defence, and we're hearing a lot about the economy and a lot about immigration, and we gave people 10 things to choose from, so 8 policy options plus a don't know, plus none of these something else. And amongst Remainers, 39% of them picked as the top choice that the British economy was by far the most important, 39% out of 10 options. But amongst Leavers, people who will vote to Leave, 41% said immigration. Only 7% of Leavers said the economy, and only 4% of Remainers said immigration. So we're seeing a bifurcation of 2 issues amongst the 2 voter groups.
This is really interesting, the granular analysis of this. I also, as well, have drawn as well to the Conservative to Labour split as well, in the way that the shift has gone within the political allegiance. Yeah,
so there's some really interesting some figures under the hood of the poll. So. Conservative voters, so amongst those who voted Conservative in the 2015 general election, previously, so on the fieldwork 24th of May, our last poll for you, that group split 43 Remain, 42 Leave. We've seen Leavers, Conservative voters in 2015, Leavers are up 7, Remain is down 7. So Conservative votes becoming much less split, 49 to 36 in favour of Leave, from basically being in favour of Remain previously. Some really quite surprising figures. People who voted Labour in 2015 36% of those people now would vote to leave versus only a quarter.
So there's been a big shift into Labour supporters into the Leave camp. How about the age group split?
Yeah, so perhaps the most stark figure is the age category that Remain really want to get turned out to vote is the 18 to 34 category. We've seen a big change. So undecided is amongst 18 to 34s, Leave Remain. Undecided is down 7, Remain is down 7, and Leave is up 14, taking from those two pools. So that's a pretty. These are Labour voters, younger people often. That's an important group to miss.
Well, let's bring all this together and ask one final question about the impression you get from this. What is the overarching impression you get from this, bearing in mind the campaign that we've seen so far?
I'm getting the impression that doubling down on fear in terms of campaign strategy isn't working. There was evidence of that back in May when we asked people about the DIY recession, that voting for Leave would create a recession to the action of voting. And only, I think, 10% of Remainers believe that was 10 out of 10 true as something that was going to be the case. Now, that's quite something, and I think it was like 3% of people who were voting to leave thought that would be the case. So we were already seeing lack of cut-through in terms of fear. So I think the Remain campaign needs to stop doubling down on fear and start talking about some hope and optimism for the future within the EU. And I guess the Leave campaign, you'd say keep doing what you're doing because it's working.
Yeah. Damian, we've got to leave it there, but thanks indeed for joining us. Damian Lyons Lowe, the Chief Executive and founder of Survation. Now, as we've been hearing, it's the economy, stupid to coin a phrase, more associated with the Clinton US presidential campaign of 1992. But this is, as we've been hearing, at the very epicenter.
And the economy coming out on level pegging.
Yeah, I think that's right. Clearly the two big issues are